Welcome to Wrestling with Success, the best and only podcast for the wrestlers of tomorrow. Please welcome your host, Nigel? Oh, right. Your host and future champion, Neil McMillan.
Yeah.
So, guys and girls and wrestling fans worldwide, welcome to episode 25 of the Wrestling with Success podcast. We're at the magic 25. Wrestling with Success is a quarter of a century old. And this week I am back with another hot talent coming out of SOS, the School of Slam Wrestling Academy in Harwich. This week I have the bad guy of SOS. This is a guy who thinks everyone is a beanhead. And he has a real knack of pissing off old ladies. Number one entry in the Overboard Rumble and number one in nobody's hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to feel the pain. It's Nick Payne. Nick, Ian, thanks for taking the time out to speak with us today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. Especially after an introduction like that. I think you've built me up a bit too high there.
Well, I wanted to give you the rub as a bad guy, so I don't get a lot of good bad guys on here, so I thought I'd give you a rub as one.
That's nice. I'm just honoured that you finally said Harwich correctly for once.
I went out my way to do it. I'm not even joking. You know what I've done though? On my notes, because you know I have notes because I'm a professional journalist. I have to write it. I spelt Harwich. I'm saying Harwich. I spelt Harwich HARRIDGE. So you know the proper spelling. But it's still foreign to me. I had to write it like that. So physically reading it, if I would have wrote HARWICH, I would have said Harwich. So yeah, I did that especially for you. I went out my way. But yes, Harwich. That's the strangest way to start a podcast. But yeah, it is. Also, it's freezing. I mentioned on the last episode it's cold, but shiver my timbers today.
It's been unbearable. It has literally been unbearable. I've got like the biggest coat on, like walking to work, and it's just it's disgusting.
I'm legit wearing a massive jacket now. I've got my hands in my pockets. I'm painting a picture there. I'm in my jacket right now. So, Nick, Ian, straight off the bat, your name is Ian Payne, but your character name's Nick Payne. What was your thinking into going with Nick Payne rather than Ian? It's quite a subtle change.
Well, obviously, as my name's Ian, it's not really the most intimidating name in the world, let's be honest. Yeah. It does sound exactly what it is. It's an office worker, and nothing more, maybe a postman, or a 40-year-old man. You don't really hear many more Ians around. But I felt Nick, well, that's my dad's name, my father. So I thought, celebrate him in a way that I can. I know he hates wrestling. Or hated wrestling, sorry. So it was the fact that I could portray that and just annoy him, because that's exactly how I am. I like to annoy people, and if I can get one over on me old man, then that's the perfect way, isn't it?
I like it. No, it's good. It's a little nod to him, but a little kind of dig at the same time.
Exactly. I just thought it was too perfect not to. I had to keep the second name Payne. You don't get born into the name Payne and not want to use it in a wrestling environment. It's just too good not to.
No, exactly. And so, I mean, when did it all start for you then, Nick? Or I'm just gonna constantly call you Nick or Ian because you've confused me now.
Call me
where did it, Mr. Payne? I'll call you Mr. Payne. Where did it start for you in terms of becoming a wrestling fan then?
Well, because I know I look older than I am, but I'm only 20, so my first
sort of
memory... Yeah, exactly.
No. I didn't think you were that older than 20, but I didn't think you were 20. I mean, that's a good age. It's a compliment. Somewhere.
It is a compliment. Like most people say, I'm 24, so I don't feel bad if you thought that originally. But yeah, I'm only 20, so my youngest appearance of watching wrestling, I didn't have Sky Sports, but I had Sky.
Yeah.
So I remember watching Sky One. I think it was WWE Experience.
Okay.
And I think that's where it was like Raw and SmackDown like put together like for 1 hour. It was just like the highlights of the best bits, and it annoys me to say this because I've watched footage of him back and he just don't compare. But I remember seeing Great Khali come out like when he first started, and he was a monster, weren't he? He was 7'3", he's absolute giant, and Undertaker came out like 2 minutes later after Great Khali's manager cut this promo, and I was just mesmerised by the fact of how great Undertaker looked, his presence and like aura about him. And from that moment on, I started watching it, and then I just got hooked on it. And then my favourite after that was like Edge, just because of how like vindictive he could be. And yeah, so that was when it all started, around that era, which makes probably quite a few of your listeners, I can imagine, making Aaron feel quite old as well. So.
Yeah, no, definitely, even me as well. So I mean, what made you to then, becoming a fan and then deciding to actually try to train to do it professionally?
Well, one of my mates who I grew up with, as you know, Heyman, he started wrestling. He started in the School of Slam when it first started. I didn't really have the guts to start. I was always like, I would like to do it, but I'll do it next week, and then I'll do it the next week. And it got to a point where I was like sitting at where I work in the sort of kitchen area at lunchtime in the cafeteria, and I was watching a documentary, Fergal Devitt, who was Finn Balor, Prince Devitt, when he was in Japan. I've said this to a few of my mates. I don't understand this, so I can imagine most of your viewers not being able to understand it as well. He was at ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, and he's one of like another wrestler who was talking to slipped on the top turnbuckle, and he caught one of his crown jewels, if you say, in between the turnbuckle, and he described it as a cream egg when it cracks.
Exactly.
Exactly. I was wincing as well. But I was watching that documentary, and when he said that, I was like, "Oh, that's disgusting." But why do I have the urge that I want to do this? Which weirded me out. Obviously, I don't want to land on the turnbuckle like that. I literally go away from the turnbuckle. I don't think I've been up to a turnbuckle in a match before. Obviously, I've done it in training, but I've never done it in a match before because I'd hate to do that. But yeah, I watched the rest of the documentary and seeing how he travelling around Japan and like the friendship that he made with Gallows and Anderson, and I was just, I've got to do this. I have to do this. And then I messaged Harry that night and said, when's training? He said Sunday. I said, cool, I'll be there this Sunday. And that was over a year ago now. It was the 27th of November, so literally just recently a year, and I haven't looked back since.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So, I mean, well, when you first started out, I mean, did you struggle to try and... Did you say you're an office worker, like, as well? Is that what you mentioned? Yeah. So, one thing I've noticed as well, I work in an office as well. I'm a nerd when it comes to things when during the day. And then what I find hard is that I go to training after work, and it's hard for me to try to switch off from being an office worker to then trying to be a performer. Does that make sense? To try to actually now put on the persona of being a wrestler. Did you struggle with anything like that? Or is there anything else you struggled with in terms of when you started training?
Well, you say it as you struggle to turn off being an office worker. Yeah. I have the opposite problem. I struggle to turn off being the mindset of either a wrestler or thinking about wrestling. Like, I'm like working at the office, and that's all I'm thinking about. Like, I don't know how many, if like anyone is listening from where I work, I'm sorry, but that's pretty much all I'm thinking about at work. Even when I should be like knuckling down work, and that's probably why I've made a few mistakes. But
I've just got this image of you going around super kicking, knocking papers out of people's hands and everything.
No, I try not to do that, even though quite a few of the colleagues do annoy me on the odd occasion. But no, I try to keep it to a minimum. But when I say that I wear trunks for a living, or I wear tights, or want to wear trunks and tights for a living, they sort of like go, "Oh, okay, right, let's change the subject to football." Or so. But yeah,
no, I get it. Other people seem to get more uncomfortable about talking about wrestling than you do. What I've found is that people immediately get kind of weirded out when I start talking about wrestling. Like, they can't handle the fact that I'm wrestling in chunks, half naked, or anything like that. So it is quite weird. But is there anything else you struggled with in training at all? Or?
My first bump. Everyone's bump, I can imagine being bad, but I watched a few videos before I went to like the first session that I went to. I like saw how they said to take a bump. Obviously, make sure your head's tucked, but not so far tucked. I didn't listen to the end part of that, where not too far tucked. So I put my head down, and literally my chin was touching my chest. And I took the bump, and my head just whiplashed back. And it was literally, I got to the point where I stood on like the apron, like, and watched everyone else take their bumps, and my leg was shaking. Like, I was like, "What the hell have I actually got myself in for?" But after that, I was like, "Nah, I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting. Like, I've got to carry on doing it." Even if it's just this one session. But I struggled with that first bump, and as soon as I did that first session, I just carried on until I got better and better. We normally did like just bump drills like before every session. You do improve at the School of Slam. So I'm just grateful for Paul Tyrrell. Obviously, Aaron mentioned him before. I'm massively thankful for like his teaching, and not just him, like Cobra and Harry, Dexter and Czech, like, and Hooch definitely as well. They all like help like the inexperienced as well. I've got to thank most of them, and Harley. Can't forget Harley. She helped me a lot as well. Pardon?
Good old Harley. She clocked me good in the overboard. Good.
Yeah, I've seen the footage.
I was happy with it. I was really chuffed with it. So I mean, how long were you training for before you started? When was your first wrestling match? Like, how long until after you started training?
Well, at the School of Slam, I was training. I think it was about 3 weeks, because it was the Invasion show.
Okay.
So yeah, about 3-4 weeks maybe, and I weren't in a match. I was in a battle royal. And that was nerve-wracking, because I know you haven't seen it like what I used to look like, but I used to weigh like 2-3 stone more than I do now. And I was like, should I wear a t-shirt? Should I not? I was backstage. I was self-conscious. But yeah, I went out there, and there was 200 odd people on my first ever thing. I was just like, I was like a deer caught in the headlights. I just didn't know what to do. And then since like the bell rung and like the first two like got eliminated quickly, I was like, just grab someone and just strike off and just hope for the best. But yeah, that was my first experience in front of a crowd. My first match though was 2 months, I think. Yeah, 2 months after my training. And that was obviously training at the show though at School of Slam.
Yeah, I mean, who was that with? That's quite short, but who was that with?
My first match, Scrum.
Okay.
Yes, Scrum, who was in the Overboard Battle Royal Rumble with us two. It was against him. Obviously, I lost, pinfall, put him over. But literally, it was that moment. I remember coming out on my entrance, and it was the same thing. Deer caught in the headlights. I didn't know what to do for my entrance. I hadn't thought of it. Obviously, I heard your podcast where you talked about Mr. Success and how you thought of your entrance.
Yeah, overthought it in some ways, but yeah.
I underthought it. I literally, all I thought was the music. I came out, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And I just gave people evils. I'm just so thankful for those people who just booed straight away.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they booed, I told them shut up, and everyone booed, and I was so happy that someone made some noise because I was so nervous.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But that was a definite sort of highlight that I think of. It weren't a great match because I've seen some footage back, but I do enjoy thinking of that match. Just even though what I was wearing, I looked like Harley Quinn when she's in red and black. I literally looked like a male Harley Quinn. I just had black kick pads, just plain red tights, and a red and black sleeve on each arm.
Is there pictures out there of this? I need to see this.
There is probably pictures out there, yes.
SOS guys, if you're listening to this, can you please forward us a picture so we can share this? I need to see it now. But and Scrum as well. He's a good talent. He's a big dude, and he's got that rugby background as well. So I like the name Scrum. It's nice and simple. I like that as well. But I suppose with your first one, it's more of a case of a lot of it may be just to kind of get that match out of the way and get that match under your belt, and then build the experience from that, I suppose, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it was definitely, because after that match, it was, I think, a 2-month wait, something along the lines of that. I got to do it all over again. It was my second match as well, but the second match was better, but it still weren't amazing. I've seen footage of me stomping him, and God, it's awful. I couldn't. I watched it back about 3 weeks ago. It was just the most cringy thing that I saw. I couldn't watch it. But they do say that you are your own worst critic, I guess. So.
Yeah. Would you say you're quite a self-critical person when it comes to the stuff that you do?
I feel you have to be, really. Obviously, you have to take the criticism from other people. But I watched my match back with Corey McRae. The first time I watched it back, I was like, mate, that's brilliant. Watched it back a second time, I was like, I could have done that better, better. And then after, I'm just like, what was I doing there? Why did I do that? So, but it does sort of progress after watching it once and then watching it again.
Yeah, no, I get your point. After you watch it once, I get that, and then you watch it 2 or 3 times, you start to see more holes than you noticed the first time around. You start picking it apart and everything. I do get that. I get that. But I mean, another thing as well. I mean, you don't seem to have any qualms at all with speaking on the mic. I mean, every event I see or see pictures of, you're constantly on the stick berating people, and I love it. There's not enough people that do that, but you seem to have no problem whatsoever getting on the stick.
Well, there was obviously I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like I listened to this one. I listened to Jericho's Talk of Jericho, Stone Cold, and one of the pieces of advice that Kevin Owens said that Stone Cold told him was never stop talking. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, yes, that is just true. Like I wouldn't be on Wrestling League if I wasn't talking, I don't think. And cutting promos whenever I had the chance. I think my first promo was June. Yeah, it would have been June, and it was dreadful. I'm not gonna lie. There was no tone to my voice. It was literally on the 26th of June, something along the lines of that. But I've just kept doing them, and tried progressing just so. It adds an extra element to the School of Slam product then, and Wrestling League. So I feel it is needed, and more guys at the School of Slam. Harry Mant was always doing promos, but his promos have come along a long way. Since I first saw his first promo, his promos are brilliant. like unbelievable now. Aaron started doing promos now. So yeah, more and more people are doing promos, and I feel it's a big part of wrestling. If you can speak, then it pushes you onto a next level.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it as well. I mean, a lot of people's attention are just on their phones nowadays, and it's so simple, the fact that you can just kind of record a video and put something out there quite simply, and it just helps get more advertising and more stuff, gets the word around more. But I mean, like you said with Harry's as well, I like Harry's as well, because his setting is, he's in that kind of, I think he's in his garage or something, but he's got a kick, he's got a punching bag in the back, and he just looks like he's had a 40-minute session just demolishing that bag, and he's just all that pent up aggression, and then he goes to the camera and I fully believe that he's just kicked the shit out of that punching bag and just turn around and press record and then cut a promo. So I like that background. That fits with Harry Singh as well. But where's the origin of the beanhead? Give the listeners your definition of what a beanhead is.
A beanhead, well, because I at SOS, it's a camp like crowd. It's the like holiday makers coming in, and it's quite family orientated. Obviously, you can't swear, and I wanted to find a good word which kids could relate to, and they'd be like, "Oh, beanhead." They could use it at school, and they couldn't like get badly punished for it. Yeah. And I wanted it to relate to anyone. And as a kid, you always like said, "Oh, you've got a massive head," or something like that. So my first promo, like in front of a crowd, I just used it on Mark Benson and called him a beanhead. And there's people, all the other wrestlers, I think it was Xander, who was sitting in the gorilla. He was sitting in gorilla, and I could hear him laughing from the middle of the ring, and I knew from that moment, beanhead's worked. Beanhead's worked, and I haven't stopped using it since. It's sort of like, I do use it, but I use it more in like Twitter posts or Instagram posts than actually saying it. Yeah. I do try to say as much, because it is quite funny. Like, just calling someone a beanhead, you don't hear it as much nowadays.
Yeah. I'm laughing just hearing the word beanhead. It's just the more I hear it, the more I think about it. I'm just laughing, giggling to myself here in my jacket. So I mean,
I do try putting like a little spin onto it. So like, if it's a different person, then I'll change. Like, I'll add like a bit to it. Like Slick Lombardo, he's the Italian beanhead. Corey McRae, the ginger beanhead. Mark Benson, the original beanhead. Just like, it adds like an extra element to it then.
No, I like that. And you mentioned Slick Lombardo. You've had quite a rivalry with old Slick, haven't you? How and when did all this get started?
Yeah. We were on the Wrestling League show in Ipswich, the first Ipswich show, East Anglian Anarchy. And he was talking about opportunity for School of Slam wrestlers and how there's always opportunity there. I came out and was like, well, if there's so much opportunity, then where's my shot? Where's my opportunity? You've got Aaron making a debut on that show, which he did against Johnny Storm. Lost, just to add that in, if you're listening, Aaron. You had Joseph Cage on that show. He made his pre-show debut as well. And qualified for the Overboard Rumble. I was just like, where's my opportunity? And he slapped me across the face and slammed me into the mat twice. Ever since then, we've been in a back and forth, cutting promos, just trying to get one over on each other, to the point he started swearing, and he's just not really a nice guy, is he? Like, that Slick. He just don't like Nick Payne, does he? I don't see why he don't like me. I'm like trying to push myself for Wrestling League, and he's just trying to hold me back. The beanhead.
The beanhead. So, another rivalry you have is with a frequent audience member at SOS, an older lady, a GILF? Please explain.
Well, during the East Anglia Anarchy, after our little spat, me and Slick, I was wandering around. I was sitting at the merch table with a few others. I think I was sitting near Josh Shooter, actually. And I was sitting there at the merch table, and I was wandering around. I think it was the interval, and she walked through like the little hallway to get to the outside, like the exit. And I was standing there, and it was her and her daughter. And she came up to me as like the old woman walked past the GILF. And she come up to me, and we started talking like, oh yeah, she could beat you up and stuff like that. She could kill you. She could eat you alive and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I don't want that GILF coming near me. She was like, GILF? I bet you like an older woman. And I said, what you want about? She's a grandma I'd like to fight. And ever since then, she just laughed her head off at that comment. And I was like, I've got something here. I like that. I'm going to keep that, and I'm going to run with it. Whenever I see her, she is the GILF, the grandma I'd like to fight. And I just use it any chance I can. But yeah, everyone laughed at that when I first said it, whoever was around at that point. It was just, I'm so glad I went out there just to get some more heat. That's all it was. And it's just one word has just changed it, just added like an extra element to it. And it just pushed me onto Wrestling League. I'm like so happy that I did that. Yeah, it's pushed me further than I thought I could go. Like, because Wrestling League, like, is so the talent there is so talented. Like, even just the SOS guys, let alone your Lord Gideon Gray, your Castle, your Pastor William Eber, like being in that locker room on that East Anglian show, it was unreal.
Just rubbing shoulders with those guys and all that experience. Yeah, I mean, just that one overboard show I done. I was just like,
exactly.
I was just kind of in the back in the locker room, and it's just like I want to speak to all these people, but at the same time, I'm just sitting here, just fucking loving life, just sitting here listening to it all and just kind of being around it all. It's just incredible. It's quite an experience.
When we were back in that change room, I felt out of place. Like, I felt like they were so good. Like, all these people. Like, I felt, I shouldn't be there. Like, they're that good. Like, but I just went with what had to be done. And of all people I was number one. Number two was Roy Johnson, the body guy who was on the UK Championship for WWE. Like, it's just surreal. And a year ago, I was sitting just at DSV doing nothing.
No, yes, I mean it's a good spot as well. I mean it was a good spot for a good character as well. An antagonist who was antagonising people throughout the beginning of the show, and then obviously coming back annoying more people at the first, and then obviously you got Roy Johnson and Josh Shooter coming out, and then Slick coming out. It just made sense, and it's a good spot to having that first one, and it helps get the character over more as well. So it was a smart choice. And
that was the best choice. I have to agree. Like, when he told me I was number one, I was like over the moon with that. Just straight away. Because if you're like middle of like the pack, say 15, you may not get remembered. But number one and number 40, they're the most remembered numbers in my opinion. Just because you always remember 1 and 2, and then number 40 is the last person. So yeah, I was very thankful of Mark for letting me beat number one there.
Yeah, no, I mean it must have been thoroughly deserved as well. I mean, and this GILF, she genuinely dislikes you as well, doesn't she? It's not even like a.
It's not like, friendly banter. It's not friendly banter at all.
She just really doesn't like you, and it's brilliant.
After a show, I'm not sure if anyone's told you this, but after a show once, School of Slam show, I had annoyed her so much. After we're all packing everything away, we're taking the ring down, taking the barricades away. As we take like a barricade away, she's still standing there next to her seat, and I walk over to her because someone says, "Oh, Nick, the GILF wants you." So I walk over to her. She goes, "I want a word with you," and literally. Just before I get like a metre away from her, she swings her handbag just over my head. Like, I literally ducked, like, moved out of the way just. I was like, whoa! And she swung her handbag again, and she chased me. An 80, maybe 70-year-old, 80-year-old woman, I'm not sure of the age, maybe 90, you never know. She chased me for at least 100 yards, and then went to the point where she chased me into the change room, round the back of the building, and then got to a point where she was like, oh, I can't do this anymore, I am an 80-year-old woman. And she was like, Corey McRae, go get him. And then sent Corey McRae to chase me. So he chased me around the building a couple of times. I was running from me laugh because I thought that GILF was going to actually smack me in the face.
This is brilliant. So, if you could say one thing to the GILF right now, what would you say? If the GILF happens to be out there somewhere in the middle of a day sucking on her Werther's Originals and she's listening to the Wrestling with Success 25th episode, what would you say to her right now?
Go to bed, it's past your bedtime, you old beanhead.
There you go, you old beanhead. Well, if you're listening, I'm sure you're a really, very lovely lady. And if you're not listening, somebody find this old GILF and make sure she listens to episode 25, because Nick Payne has got something to tell her.
In my next promo on the next show, I'll make sure I give a little plug to Wrestling with Success so she knows about it.
Yeah, good. That would make my day. If that GILF went out of my way to listen to this podcast, I'd be made up. That'd be me done. I'd quietly end it all there. I'd be very happy with that. So, I mean, what was your first debut? Was debut for Wrestling League then?
I still haven't had.
Was it a promo? Oh, was it a promo and then it was the
my full singles match debut yet? Obviously, I've been on 2 shows so far. East Anglian Anarchy and Overboard, but I reckon I'll be soon to have my debut soon if Slick Lombardo, the Wrestling League general manager, pulls his finger out and sees the talent that Nick Payne has. I'm joking, of course. I'm sure that I'll have a match on Wrestling League soon enough, but only time will tell. I'll be patient until the time is ready, and when that time is ready, I'm sure I'll be ready. Mark and Paul, they know where I am at my ability, so I'm sure they're smart enough to know when I'm ready and when I'm not ready. So if I haven't had a match yet, they know that I'm not there. So I'll just wait patiently until the time comes.
Yeah, and they don't seem like the kind of guys to shy away from giving people opportunities. I'm sure it will. I'm
more than happy just cutting a promo every single show. Yeah. Cutting promos are my favourite thing because I just get to get heat without taking any bumps.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. So, I mean, from when you first started to where you are now, what kind of tips would you give to people to the office workers like you and me a couple of years ago, or other people who are thinking, I'll go to wrestling school and then kind of put it off and keep putting it off? What tips would you give to those people today and people just starting out?
Shut your mouth, keep your ears open. Definitely. I wouldn't have learned as much as I had if I didn't listen. Especially to those around me, as I previously said, like the Harry Man and the Cobra and Hooch and Czech and Harley and so forth. I could go on. Joseph Cage, Mickey B, Scrum, Aaron. With me and him, he joined after me, but I still listen to him just because he's got that good. But yeah, just definitely shut your mouth and keep your ears open. That's the big one. Try to cut as many promos as you can because it is a big part of it. If you can't speak, then there ain't really much. Obviously, wrestling ability gets you so far, but that just pushes you even further. Yeah. There is a bit of advice that I did like when I heard it. Pete Dunne said it. I don't know the exact quote, so bear with me. It is something along the lines of, don't live for the destination, live for the journey, which pretty much means don't think about too far ahead of the future, just enjoy what's happening in front of you. I like that. Which I really like as well. just because many people do get caught up in, I want to be on Wrestling League, I want to make my debut now, when in reality you're missing out on having a great match on School of Slam and you can't enjoy it as much, sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's one of my favourite bits of advice.
Oh, brilliant. So, sell us on School of Slam then, because I'm every episode I'm trying to sell this as much as I can, get more people to understand the quality and the opportunity there as well. And you being obviously someone who goes every week, trains there, been on the shows, sell people on School of Slam. Why should people go?
School of Slam. We have our own ring. I know that. Is it drop kicks that you're at?
Yes, yeah.
I see a lot of training where you're not in the ring. Like
Correct.
we have our own ring, like, and that stays up. It gets put up on a Friday, stays up over the weekend, and we train again on Sunday and then take it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much constantly up during that period. It's up constantly now until we have to take it to the next show on December 16th. Our trainer or coach, Paul Tyrrell, he's been doing it, I think 25 years he's done it. He's travelled all over the world. He's literally one of my sort of idols. Like, as soon as I met him, I watched videos of him, and literally his heel work is phenomenal. So if you're looking to be a great heel, then trust me, there ain't much better than Paul Tyrrell. Mark gives opportunities to those who are worthy, who put in the time to Wrestling League, who try to make Wrestling School of Slam and Wrestling League better, whether that's setting the ring up, being the first one down there, either handing out flyers, setting up posters, whatever it may be. He will always give the opportunity if you're ready. Training twice a week. I'm not sure about other schools, but training twice a week. Sunday is sort of a closed sort of session where Paul will just go through his lesson. Fridays are open to what you feel you need to work on. So if you feel you need to work on your chain wrestling, it's always good to keep going over stuff on your chain wrestling. I feel I've improved in the last month or so, just on Fridays, just with the chain wrestling. There's constant shows going on. I think we're on our 12th SOS show, maybe something along the lines of 10 or 12. We have one pretty much every month, which is always good. But I don't pay to be on shows. I pay to train. But the shows are just just an amazing bonus. I never thought I'd be wrestling in front of a crowd, whether that's be 30 people, 300 people. So being on a show, you can't get much better than that.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned Paul as well, and I came down to see SOS, and obviously I was there at the Overboard, but I'm looking forward to just coming down and having a session with Paul, because he's putting something in the water down there. I don't know what it is, but he's got every person he's trained and all the skills down there. I'm looking forward to coming down, taking a session with him one Sunday when I can make it down there, definitely, 100%. But I mean, well, Nick, Mr. Payne, you've sold us an SOS, you've given us your story so far, and now it's fan time. Cue the shitty little jingle. The shitty jingle. You're not going to hear it now because you don't hear it when you're I'm sorry, you have to wait till after. Quick fire questions to get your answers as a wrestling fan. Number 1, best person on the mic ever.
Oh, you had to... Oh, come on. That is... he's my favourite at the moment, so I'm going to have to say him, The Miz. I absolutely adore The Miz. He is brilliant on the mic. Whatever he says is golden. Close runners up are definitely The Rock. He's amazing as well, but because I'm a heel, Miz is one of the best heels at the moment. I'm going to have to go with my guy Miz.
Miz, okay, all right. If you were to sit in a 5-hour car journey with three wrestlers from any time WWE, people you train with, 3 people, who would it be? 5-hour car journey.
Edge.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens, just because he's been on the indie scene, like in America, so I feel that'd be a good sort of mix there. Because you got Edge with like WWE, and then Kevin Owens with a bit of indie and WWE.
Yeah.
One more. Who would be special now? I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels. He's one of my favourites of all time. Yeah.
That'd be one hell of a car journey. No, I thought you were going to keep it. I thought you were going to keep it all Canadian and have like Chris Jericho or something in. You have a car full of Canadian. What wrestler on WWE, NXT, Ring of Honor, any promotion reminds you most of yourself?
I try not to, like, because I try to become like my own sort of character. But if I had, like, I do look like, I feel like Edge a bit. Like, I use his spear and I try to hit it as perfectly as he did it. Yeah. I am off. Yeah, I'd have to go with Edge. I adore Edge. He's one of my favourites. He's one of the best of all time, in my opinion.
Good stuff. So, what are your thoughts on the rumours of Daniel Bryan coming out of retirement?
Oh, don't get me started. I'd absolutely love that. I
think it's going to happen.
I feel it will happen, but I don't feel WWE will allow it. I feel he'll run out his contract at WWE, and then he'll go back to the indie scene, maybe have a match at Ring of Honor or New Japan. I don't feel it will happen at WWE. As much as I'd love it too, because it'd have so much more exposure. But if it was to happen at Ring of Honor, that would just elevate Ring of Honor.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I don't know. I think if they were smart, they would. If he's going to come back, they might as well do it at WWE. But it's whether they would or not. But they seem to be. They've been building like him and Miz for like a year. But I'm not sure I'm that excited to see it. I do like the kind of rivalry Daniel Bryan and Miz had. But even they started to like sprinkle some. There's some stuff going on with him, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens. I've got a feeling something could happen soon. I don't know why, but I've got an inkling. But anyway, one match you'd recommend everyone watch?
I hate to be that guy. I really do. I knew you were going to ask this question. It's got to be Mania 25, hasn't it? It's got to be Shawn Michaels.
Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. Yeah, it's it's good. I don't think I've had that one yet, so that's a valid. Yeah, no, I haven't. Yeah,
well, obviously I've heard Rock and Austin 17, but that Mania 25, that is one of my. I can't get over how great that match is. I remember watching it live, and they're the 2 best of all time.
And that's the one where Undertaker dived out as well, and he nearly
landed on his neck.
No, that was good. No, fair enough. So I mean, what you got coming up? You've got an upcoming Money in the Bank match as well that Aaron mentioned the other day, and you're part of that. It's now been announced.
Yeah, it's now been announced. I was gutted when it got announced because I was hoping to do you another exclusive. Say that I was going to be in it. But one of my favourite matches to watch as a kid. My first WrestleMania, which is going to make everyone feel old, WrestleMania 23. First match on the card was the ladder match where Jeff Hardy jumped off the 20-foot ladder onto Edge and did that leg drop and broke the ladder in half, broke their bodies in half. Yeah. So ever since that match, I've been wanting to do. Ever since I knew that I was wrestling, that is. I've been wanting to do a ladder match, and considering when he said, I feel like we could do a ladder match, I was like, shotgun, I'm doing it. I don't care, I'm doing it. He said Money in the Bank, yep, even better. That just means more people for like other things. So I can't wait for December 16th. It's going to be a hell of a show, considering you've got a Harry Man vs Cobra on that show for the title. What a match that's going to be. You've got Joseph Cage versus Xander in a Falls Count Anywhere. and then you've got Rogan and Dovercourt Dragon on that card as well. So huge show, that one. I can't wait for that. Show.
Very good. So, I mean, what's next for Nick Payne? What some of your goals for 2018? What are you looking to achieve?
2018, I would like to make my Wrestling League debut in 2018. I feel that is the first goal before anything else can really happen. Like, I won't make my debut anywhere else besides Wrestling League, because that is the home sort of thing. That is where I've sort of built my reputation, if you will. I would maybe like to get an outside booking, maybe after November time. Maybe I'd see that as maybe a bit realistic, just November of next year. But yeah, definitely my pro debut, that would be the first one on Wrestling League, but only time will tell before that can happen.
No, good. Any parting words for people? Any shout outs at all?
Yep. Shout out to everyone. I mean everyone at Wrestling League and the School of Slam. Mark, thank you so much for changing my life with wrestling. I don't know what I'd be doing right now. I'd probably be a lot fatter. I'd probably be obese, drinking constantly, and just being an office worker, and that's all I'd see. Thank you, Paul. Cheers for teaching me everything I know so far. Shout out to Harry Mann, Cobra, Hooch, Mike Check, Aaron, Harley, Corey, Mickey B, Scrum. Thanks for my first match. Who else? Joseph Cage, Roman Riot. I'm just shout out to everyone at School of Slam. I don't want to take up too much time, but there's so many people there. I could be here all day, just shouting out people.
Good stuff. I was half expecting you at the end just to go, "You're all a bunch of beanheads," but you're more than welcome to say that now. If you
I could have built turn.
I thought I could see it coming. But anyway, man.
Shout out to the GILF. Shout out to the GILF.
GILF, if you're listening, thank you. But anyway, Nick, thank you. Ian, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. And pleasure to have you on the show and defining what the hell a beanhead is. But it's good. I like it. Everyone's a beanhead. So thanks again. Thanks again, buddy. So, guys and girls, that is it from me this week. Thanks for following my journey, listening to this show, and I look forward to wrestling a match with you all soon. Guys and girls, I will speak to you all next week.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for following my journey. It means a lot that you're all joining me along for the ride. And not only that, I'm hoping you're getting some inspiration out of this. This is what I'm doing it for, is to try to inspire people. I try to get more people into wrestling, try to get exposure for all these guests, all these great guests and future guests. And if you guys want to help, it would be much appreciated if you could go over to iTunes and leave this podcast a review, Wrestling with Success. And I want you to be as honest as possible. If you hate the show, if you hate my voice, if you want me to speak a little bit higher, if you want me to speak a little bit lower, then please let me know on the feedback. Any sort of review. That's all I'm asking for, guys. It helps get the names out there for all the previous guests and the ones to come. Thank you again for listening. It means a lot. Much love.